55 and 31 roll with the complimentary plays here on the video report after Saturday's 2-0 sweep. And how easy were those complimentary winners I gave you in college hoops yesterday? Alabama crushing Missouri on the road, and Marquette doing the same on the highway against Seton Hall. Hi, everyone. Al DeMarco here. But you should know that because you clicked on the video report to watch it. May I remind you that you click down here in that little lower corner and subscribe to the video so you'll always be alerted when I have the next video. Again, it's right down there in the corner. And today, guys, I'm going to be breaking down the game between Cincinnati and Buffalo. By the way, yesterday I told you that I had my one and only NFL teaser of the year. Teasers, I absolutely love them. I gave you so many of them for free on the video that I did with Steve Budin this year, and many in college football with the show that I did with Rick Torino as well. While many of you out there that bet the side in Kansas City and Jacksonville, and you know how, if you had the Chiefs, you got backdoored in the final minute and a half. And if you were on the Jaguars, you were on pins and needles in the latter stages of that contest. I was sitting there comfortably because I knew I was going to win that game, because in the two-team 7-point teaser, my teaser adjusted price was Kansas City -2. I didn't sweat the game. In fact, I had no worries from the opening kickoff and the opening drive when Kansas City jumped out to the 7-0 lead. That's the beauty of teasers. And listen, guys, I have to be honest with you. As I wrote up in my analysis yesterday, I thought Philadelphia was going to win the game outright. My only hesitancy, well, I had two issues with that game. First, I grew up in Philadelphia. I mean, you know, the Eagles have always been my team. Betting with your heart necessarily isn't always as smart as betting with your head. So I'm always a little leery in putting my money down on the Eagles. But the other point in hesitancy in my case was I didn't know how healthy Jalen Hurts was. Well, clearly, after the first drive, I knew Jalen Hurts was pretty damn healthy. I didn't buy into the Giants. I thought that everybody had overplayed their hand, thinking that the Giants were that good after beating up a lousy Minnesota Vikings team, as I pointed out in my analysis yesterday. So I had the Eagles basically at -1 in that game. So again, and let me just reiterate what I've said so many times over the years, what I love about teasers is that you play them when you have confidence in your teams. You don't play them when you're not sure of which side you're going to take. And in my particular case, I've always found it advantageous to play teasers when you're backing a favorite. And it doesn't matter whether the favorite is at home or on the road. When you're taking a favorite that is a favorite of between 6 and 10 points. That has been the sweet spot for me. Love teasers, 2 teams, 7 points. I always buy that point up. I don't like the 6-point varieties. I find that 7 points, especially with the advent of the 2-point conversion and the pros, it definitely pays dividends to play the 7-point variety rather than the 6-point. A lot of guys will say, well, why don't you play those 3-teamers, the 4-teamers, the exotics? My God, yeah, the payoffs are much more luxurious, but you're increasing the mathematical odds against you every time you add another team to that teaser. Listen, I didn't go to MIT, and neither did you. You don't have to be a mathematician to realize when the odds are stacked against you, the winning percentages are going down. So with all that being said, let's get to this contest. Oh, by the way, let me just remind you that I'm red hot in the NFL, guys. By the way, not only today am I going for a 7th straight winning day, but today I'm also going for NFL top-rated 15-time winner number 12 out of 14. It's on that little game between the Cowboys and the 49ers. Of course, I had the Cowboys on Monday night. It's NFL winner number 13 out of 17 overall over the past 8 weeks. And it's the half-price play of the day over at DeMarcosports.com. But more importantly, if you haven't taken advantage of it yet, take advantage of the one-day free all-access pass. You can get my play and all the plays of all the handicappers for free today. The one-day all-access pass today is $109. If you bought all the handicappers plays individually, I'm sure it would cost you well over probably $900 or so. But anyway, the one-day all-access pass is $109. You can get it for free if you've never taken advantage of it. Check it out, the one-day free all-access pass over at DeMarcosports.com. Let's talk about the game. So Buffalo is a 6-point favorite at home. What strikes me here is that these two teams are, to me, so evenly matched. You have the Bengals on a red-hot run. They've won 9 straight. You've got the Bills on a red-hot run. They've won 8 in a row. So what do you normally say? The home field is worth 3 points. Well, how is this line 6? What gives? I don't get it. I think this game is going to go down to the wire. So let's break it down a little further. You look at a Bills team that last week jumped out to the big lead and couldn't stop a Miami Dolphins team that kept coming back on them with a third-string quarterback, a Miami Dolphins team that just sucked defensively. And the Bills had to keep coming back and holding off the Dolphins in that contest. Now, the Bengals had their hands full at home against the Baltimore Ravens team that played them tough defensively in every one of their matchups this year, right? You can't fault the Bengals for that. But how, again, is this line 6? That's what I don't get. Now, Josh Allen took advantage of a Miami defense that was constantly blitzing him, playing zero covers in the secondary. And consequently, he attempted 13 passes of 20 yards or more versus that soft coverage because the Dolphins blitzed him so often. He had 352 yards, but often in that game, he bypassed shorter, easier, open opportunities to go for the long home run attempt. Hey, it worked occasionally. Had 352 yards, also had 3 turnovers too. Now, the Bengals don't blitz as often as the Dolphins. In fact, the Dolphins blitz on 33.3% of their defensive possessions this year. The Bengals blitz only at 20.4% of their defensive possessions. But then again, didn't the Dolphins fire the defensive coordinator this week? And the Bengals have one of the best DCs in all of football. The Buffalo offensive line allowed 7 sacks last week, too. The Bengals don't generate as many sacks per se with their defensive line, but they do generate a lot of pressure. Now, let's flip the script. Let's talk about the Bengals offensive line. As you know, 3 offensive starters along that line are out. That's going to hurt 2 things. 1, Joe Burrow's protection. 2, the fact that the Bengals, who have not been able to run the ball consistently all season, are going to be even hindered further here in this game. How bad has the Bengals' run game been? Well, last 4 games, their high has been 73 yards rushing. 11 of 17 games this year, they've run for under 90 yards. In terms of pass protection for Burrow, there's a good and a bad to look here. Now, I just told you 3 offensive linemen are going to be out. 1, the Bills have not been able to generate a consistent pass rush ever since Von Miller went out with an injury. So that's good for the Bengals, bad for the Bills. The other positive that you can take away here is that you've got Joe Burrow, who has the second fastest release time behind Tom Brady this season, 2.35 seconds, Brady 2.28. And Burrow this season, when he was blitzed, 18.6% of his dropbacks. His numbers were absolutely phenomenal. His passer rating, when blitzed on those 18.6% of his dropbacks, 112.3, with 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, and 8.2 yards per attempt. And of course, listen, his array of receivers, better than what Josh Allen is working here. I come back to what I said initially. This game, yes, it's going to be played in Buffalo. But I really believe it's a field goal game, especially when you consider the sad state of that Bills defense, which repeatedly this season failed. I mean, Kirk Cousins carved this Bills defense up in Buffalo, if you recall. I think it's a field goal game. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the points with Cincinnati. The line is currently 6. As you know, when the lines cross 3, 4, 6, 7, and sometimes 10, I'm either buying up or buying down, depending on whether I'm on the underdog or on the favorite. So in this particular case, if your number is 5.5, I'm buying up the half point. If that number is 6, 6.5, 7, I'm buying up the half point on Cincinnati. That's the way I would play this game. Wish you well. Oh, by the way, would I put it in a teaser? No. This is not a game that I would put in a teaser. Obviously, my best bet is on San Francisco and Dallas. I wouldn't even take that pick that I love and put it in a teaser. Yesterday was the opportunity to tease. Today is not. So that'll do it. I wish you well, guys, and we'll talk to you again soon. Good luck, everybody.